Hey everyone, I want to talk a little bit about adding spice to our basic triads. I think it can be very easy to overlook triads and their importance, especially when we want to talk about more altered harmony or extensions. We want to jump to 7th chords and adding 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths. We have to remember at the end of the day that any harmony that's adding extensions, etc., is stacking notes in thirds, which is going to give us triads on top of triads on top of triads. For instance, if I have a C major 7, an upper structure of that could be E minor. That's a very basic substitution where now I could play any E minor voicing or E minor triad over the root C and get a C major 7 sound. Now I'm going to glance over some basic triadic things, but I would definitely encourage all of you to make sure you have a good control of your triad shapes on all string sets. A string set meaning any 3 adjacent strings, which is where we can play triads, because triads are 3 notes, right? So I can play it down here on the first 3 strings. I'm just playing C major, by the way, all inversions. On the ADG strings, DGB, and GBE strings. We want to be able to get these inversions under our fingers and also harmonize the scale starting on different inversions. This is not something you're familiar with. I would definitely look into this. And you're welcome to peruse my YouTube or my Instagram channel at Beyond the Frets to find more materials on this. And I have a whole lot of information on triads with my chord inversions workshop that you can check out on my website. But anyways, I want to talk about how to add spice to some of these basic triads. So most of the time we think of a 4-note chord by adding a 7th, right? A triad plus a 7th, that makes sense. We're having another third on top, 1, 3, 5, 7. Well, there's one really cool sound that we can obtain by adding a 2nd or a 9th. So no 7. So for instance, if I have C major, my chord would be C, E, G, and D. So my notes are C, D, E, G. This is called a C add 9 or a C add 2. It kind of depends on the situation or who's writing it down, because nomenclature can be kind of fuzzy that way. But the important thing is that there's no 7. We have the 1, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 5th. And we get this really cool sound. Just as an arpeggio, it's a cool vibe for sure. That's kind of a common thing we can hear. So if I wanted to play these 4 notes as voicings and play their inversions, they're actually pretty difficult if I keep it in a closed position, meaning under an octave. If I just try to play C, D, E, G, well, I can do it because I have an open string, and that's nice. But then the inversions, they're super pretty, but they get a little more impractical. Again, they sound amazing, and I really like them. But if I was in another key, I wouldn't be able to play all of them, and they're definitely a big stretch on the guitar. So this is where our drop chord inversions are going to be really useful. I have a lot of material on drop voicing, so if you're not hip to that, just hit me up. But essentially, a drop chord is when I have my 4 notes, and if I want to do a drop 2 voicing, I'm going to drop the 2nd note from the top down an octave. So if I have C, D, E, G, my E is the 2nd from the top. It's going to go down an octave. So now, instead of C, D, E, G, the E goes down an octave, and now I'm going to have E, C, D, G. This is a really, really common voicing. I know a lot of guitarists love this one, but maybe you never knew that this is just a C add 9 in 2nd inversion. It's over the 3rd. Now, there's something really important about inversions when we have kind of not a 7th chord like this. So typically, if we had the 3rd, that would be our 1st inversion, right? Because if we had like a 7th chord, the 3rd would be the 1st inversion on the bottom. But since the 9th is in here, or the 2nd, our 1st inversion actually has the 9th on the bottom. So that's just kind of a little thing I want you to keep in mind. The 3rd on the bottom is actually the 2nd inversion, the 9th is the 1st inversion, and the 5th is the 3rd inversion. So check this out. This is my 2nd inversion chord, and I'm going get my inversions from this, and I'm going to get some really cool sounds. Really nice sound. Okay, it's a C major with a D in the mix. And you know, I tend to hear harmony as basically a top note, you know, some sort of melody that's being harmonized underneath. So now I'm thinking, as far as internalizing these and remembering them, my root position, I'm harmonizing the 9, the D. Right, that's my melody note. If I'm in first inversion, I'm harmonizing the 3rd. Second inversion, harmonizing the 5th. Third inversion, harmonizing the root. So that's how I kind of tend to think about it and apply them as far as, you know, connecting my ear with these shapes. I'm thinking it as some sort of melody note, regardless of whether I'm actually playing a melody or I'm comping or I'm soloing, etc. So these are our drop 2 shapes. Let's get a little closer view here. So here's our root position. I have C, E, G, D. First inversion. This is a nice, easy one. It's just a bar on all the frets on the 5th fret. I have D, G, C, E. First inversion, and then E, C, D, G. Then I've got G, D, E, C. Or, you know, on the middle string sets like this. A little harder. So the first thing I'd encourage you to check out with this is not only finding the inversions for one chord, but trying to apply it to just a simple progression like 1, 4, 5. So if I want to do 1, 4, 5, I could do something like this. Okay, so 1, 4, 5, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1, 1, 4, 5, 1. Or I could resolve it up here, 4, 5, 1. So that's already getting us a really nice sound out of a simple 1, 4, 5 progression. Now I'll make this a 2, 5, 1. Again, if you're not super hip to this concept, the 2 and the 4 are synonymous. They both have a subdominant function. Because the 2 chord, let's say I'm in the key of C, which I am, I have D minor 7. The upper structure of that is an F major chord. So that's where the 2 and the 4 are very similar. They're relative to each other. So now I just have 2, 5, 1. So I'm going to show you my 2 chord. So here's my drop 2 D minor add 9 voicings. All the inversions. Root position. 1, 3, 5, 9. D, F, A, E. And I've got E, A, D, F. That's kind of a funky one. Got that minor 9th interval between the top and the bottom notes. It's kind of cool. Then I have this lovely one, F. This is second inversion with the 3rd on the bottom. F, D, E, A. And then I have 3rd inversion with the 5th on the bottom, A, E, F, D. And it's already a really, really pretty sound. You know, that's just harmonizing the root. You know, if I didn't really know this, I could just do, okay, that's D minor 7, but now we have this really nice way of harmonizing the root. So I'm going to incorporate these into a 2, 5, 1 voice leading through them. Okay? So I'm going to have, again, 2, 2, 5, 1. Okay? So my second inversion, D minor add 9, can go like this. 2, 5, 1. So the voice leading gets kind of interesting, but I'm really thinking about that top melody. I just have F, G, G. Okay, going up again. Let's start on another inversion. So my second inversion, D minor add 9, F, D, E, A. It's going to go to root position, G add 9, the 5 chord, so that A stays in the melody. And that's going to resolve up to this 3rd inversion, C add 9, where my 5th's on the bottom. So again, I'll do it again. start here. On my third inversion, D add 9, D minor add 9. It's going to go to this lovely second inversion, G add 9. And there's a couple ways I can resolve this. I can keep the D on the top and do this root position, C add 9, or I can go up and do the first inversion. So you have a couple options with the voice leading. It's, you know, obviously you can do this lots of ways. This is just how I approach it for this explicit practicing ascending. So I'll do that again. 2, 5, 1, or 2, 5, 1. So I'm going to show you these 2, 5, 1 shapes, a little closer view. So I'm going to start with my root position, D minor, add 9. This goes to here. 5, and then 1. Now what's interesting, the first inversion, since it's so close to the root position, it actually voice leads to the same 5 chord. But you're going to get a different melody. So at first it was, it's E, G, G. And the other one is F, G, G. Again, thinking about it melodically. And then from here, I'll go to this inversion, second inversion, D minor add 9. Goes to root position, 5 chord. Goes to third inversion, C add 9. And that's this on this other string set, the top string set. I'm going to do the last one, 2, third inversion, really lovely voicing, 2, 5, 1. Get a couple options here to voice lead. We can stay here where our D's is on the top. So again, 2, 5, 1, or 2, 5, 1. Or I move it up and my melody goes up. Now you get these colorful sounds and we're not even adding sevenths. So again, the voice lead is going to be a little different, but you're going to get some really cool colors out of it by just adding a 9 to these simple triads. And if you notice, you're going to see those triad shapes within them. You know, I want you to find the triad within each inversion and then see where the 9 is. So for instance, you know, the root position is pretty easy. The triad's right there in the first 3 notes. Then you have the 9. Second inversion, you know, the triad's hidden, but it's right here. I have G, C, E. Here I've got a spread triad. I've got E, C, G. You know, and then same here. I've got a spread triad. G, C, or sorry, G, E, C, with the D in it. So you can find, I want you to find the triad shapes and see where that 9 is being incorporated. And then you can kind of notice how, really, once you get a command of your triads in both closed and open positions, or spread, you can really easily just add that 9 to any of them. Alright, so I hope that is a good primer to adding some spice to your triads. Again, to reiterate, we are just adding the 9 or the second to any of our basic triads and running them through drop 2 chords and inversions, and then voice leading through basic harmonic progressions. You know, 1, 4, 5, 2, 5, 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, whatever you want to do. I would encourage you to take it through its paces and see what kinds of sounds and colors that you gravitate towards. And my advice always with learning new voicings is not to learn a whole bunch of new ones. You know, try not to memorize, you know, 800 different ways to play an add 9 voicing. Take one of them, like this, for example, and try to insert it wherever you can in a tune that you're working on, or if you're writing a progression. You know, just find one chord that you can kind of shoehorn into your practice, and then you can actually start hearing it and applying it on the fly, which is what we want. So I have a lot more on this. You know, I could do drop 3, drop 2, and 4, and then I could also add 4 instead of add 9. There's lots of things I could get into, but I want to keep this one a little short for right now and hope you can kind of dive into this concept. All right, enjoy.